today, Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy said this.
Is a straightforward discussion. Would you actually use the word fascist about a Nigel Farage-led government or not?
I guess I would just say that if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, in my experience, it usually is a duck.
It's just this whole duck analogy really got me, I don't know why. So anyway, listen, I thought we should come up with a new game show. And we're going to call this game show, Is It Labour Policy or Is It Reform Policy? And I'm going to be joined by my fantastic panel to talk about this. Joining me on the show, Sebastian Salek is here, Adam Brooks is here, and Anna Birth is here. We're going to play this game together. Listen, I'm not a game show host normally, so I don't know if I'm going to mess this all up, but let's find out, all right? This is a little bit of fun. You've got your buzzers. Can you tap your buzzers for me? Right, so yours is like a boing. Do that one again. Anna? Adam? So, first person to get the question answers it for me. Right, we're going to start with this. Is it Labour or Reform policy? First question on the show. Curtailing jury trials. That was Adam.
Labour.
No.
What were you going to say, Anna?
Labour policy.
Sebastian? Yeah, Sebastian's got, yeah.
I just thought I was first.
We can say, yes, it is Labour policy.
Got to be quick
This
here.
is Justice Secretary David Lammy's little baby. He has claimed that the policy is designed to reduce pressure on an overloaded criminal justice system. Critics, of course, argue that, of course, this carries serious constitutional implications and rips up the Magna Carta. Next question. Cancelling elections. I think that was Anna. Is it Labour or Reform policy?
It's Labour policy.
OK, tell us a little bit about what's happened here, Anna.
I think now, last year we had Labour cancelling elections and cancelling mayoral elections, and this year I think it's Steve Reid, the Secretary of State, who has basically said to councils, if you write in and say you want to cancel your elections, we, of course, will be delighted. So basically they are inviting councils to cancel elections, and I think 48 councils, is it 48, 28? 4 million voters are being denied the right to vote.
And there's a few Conservative ones as well.
Unfortunately, there are.
Uni-party, stitch up.
Sebastian, any comments?
Well, it's a little bit silly spending taxpayers' money on an election if you're only going to have people in post for a year. So let's let those councils who want to crack on, reform their local government as they should do.
That's not democracy.
No, democracy is a fundamental right.
Right, well, listen, let's get on to our next question, show, because we've got a couple more of these to go.
See, we're not the uni-party.
Of course, just to confirm, it was Labour policy. Of course, you were right, Anna, there. Of course, talking about the Tories, Kemi Badenoch has said she will not force her councils to hold elections too. All right, next question. Is compulsory identification for all citizens a Labour or Reform policy? Sebastian?
Neither.
Go on, tell us why.
Well, Labour are looking at dropping mandatory digital IDs. Reform, I don't think, are massive fans of this, so no one's putting the policy up.
I think it was a Labour policy, but isn't this just their latest U-turn?
Let's be honest here. Let's tell the viewers why. Labour got hit with a 3 million petition against digital ID, mandatory digital ID. They realised that they'd messed up in a big way and that there was going to be protests and people weren't having it. So they've had to U-turn. But they're going to try and do it via the back door. Let's be honest with that.
What does that mean?
Right, well, look...
So basically it is Labour policy.
Well, yes, it has been Labour policy. So, ding, yes, Labour government has signalled it will roll out digital ID to all citizens, despite it not being in their manifesto, of course. Rumours do suggest that the government will U-turn on mandatory rights to work checks. It's a bit different, a little bit different. Reform UK have rejected any form of digital ID, calling it Orwellian. They said they would rip it up if they won an election. Next question. Banning social media. Is it a Labour or Reform policy?
So this is a Conservative policy, which is going to be voted on tomorrow. It's a brilliant policy, brainchild of Laura Trott, supported by Kemi Badenoch, and I really hope that Labour are going to support it tomorrow and that we are going to ban social media for children under 16.
Adam?
No, it's state control. More state control over our lives and our children's lives. Good parenting should be enough. We should be trusted to bring our children up the way we see fit and with the controls that we see fit. It is not in the government's remit to control our lives the way they are doing.
So you're happy for these multi-million-pound companies to be profiting by putting filth on our internet?
No, my children will not look at the filth.
Right,
But your children won't, Adam.
We'll get stuck into this in a minute. There is an argument to be made here that it is Tory policy, you're right, but Labour also have suggested they would ban X over its AI tool Grok that has been used to make sexualised images of women. The government, the threat at least, seems to have been withdrawn as X has changed its rules. Other AI platforms are yet to face any criticism from the government over similar tools. However, next question, Islamophobia laws. Is it Labour or is it reform policy? Adam, I think you just nudged that one. Yeah, go on. What's going on there?
Well, they're trying to get a definition that works for them. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be, what is the word?
But they're going to call it anti-Muslim hate laws.
No religion, for the viewers, no religion should have more protection than any other religion.
Yeah,
and that's how I see it. Yeah. And that is what this will do.
Yeah, so you think this is going to introduce backdoor blasphemy laws?
I don't think so. We have a definition rightly of anti-Semitism. We should have some kind of language around what Islamophobia means so that we can fight it, because it is a scourge on our society and we should wipe it out.
OK, it is Labour policy, correct, Adam? Labour looks set to release a watered-down version of Islamophobia laws, possibly dubbed anti-Muslim hate. Critics warn this would have a massive implication on free speech in Britain and bringing in blasphemy laws through the back door. Also, unrelated, record numbers of people in Britain have been locked up for some sort of free speech crime. Official custody data shows that in 2023, UK police made around 12,183 arrests under Section 127 of the Communications Act and Section 1 of the Malicious Communications Act 1988. These laws cover sending messages that, of course, grossly offensive, indecent, obscene or menacing, or that cause annoyance, inconvenience or needless anxiety. Final question. Banning political critics from the country. Has it been Labour or reform policy? Any ideas?
Well, I'm going to go Labour, because the Dutch girl that is on the right was banned from coming in this country, but Labour will allow hate preachers, Islamic extremist hate preachers, into this country. So they are hypocrites and inconsistent.
Right. Arguably, it is Tory policy too, but seeing as we were only doing reform and Labour, it is a Labour policy at the moment. Well, last week, Adam's nailed it. European right-wing influencer Eva Vlaardingbroek had her visa denied to enter the United Kingdom on the basis her presence in the UK is not considered to be conducive to public good. The Tories also banned entry to multiple speakers on that same claim. And should we have our next quiz, I don't know, what do you guys think? Is it a Tory or Reform MP? Given the defection tonight...
I think the quiz should be Tory versus Reform, because actually, if you look at all the polls since this year, it's now Reform have come topping them, but second are the Tories. 8 out of the 10 polls, Tories are in second place. So I'm sorry, Sebastian.
That supports my point. We shouldn't write you off. We really shouldn't.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GBNews viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
Yeah, Sebastian, what do you think? I'll come back to the desk now because it's a bit weird me standing over here while the government debate. No, I think obviously we were talking. This is all because of these, I think, very silly comments made by Lisa Nandy. We've seen similar comments by the Justice Secretary, likening them to Nazis and things like that. This sort of rhetoric, it doesn't get us anywhere, does it? And actually, all it does is create divisiveness. And I don't think Lisa Nandy, who is the Culture Secretary, who also talks all the time about needing people to come together, it helps the political discourse when we're throwing around silly phrases like, oh, we might be fascist party here. I don't think Reform is fascist. I don't think any political parties in Britain are exceptionally like the Nazis. Sebastian, it's a bit of a silly thing to say, do you not think?
I think we have to be really, really accurate about what was asked and what was said. She was asked whether there was a risk that they might become fascists in government. And frankly, she didn't answer the question head on, which I think is telling in itself. Now, is there a risk that Reform becomes fascist? Maybe. We don't know. We haven't seen what happens yet. I'm slightly concerned that Reform is a party that is essentially owned by one man, legally. It's a limited company, and for a party like that to be in government would be extremely unusual. I'm also very disturbed by Reform's immigration policy and its talk of mass deportations of legal immigrants.
Brilliant.
To me, that starts moving towards fascism. I'm not going to say that they've gone there yet, because I don't think they have, but it's certainly trending in that direction.
Nothing to do with fascism. If I move to Spain and I hit on hard times and I cannot contribute to the Spanish economy, they will deport me. It's not racist. Whatever colour my skin is, it's just simple economics. They do not want drains.
Policy, because that wasn't quite the issue. It was right to remain being scrapped, those people then having to reapply for some sort of right to live here and potentially being denied.
Unfortunately, the Tories have given millions of people the right to remain that shouldn't be here.
That is a concern.
Well, well, there is a point here, Anna. The Tories did. We've referred to the Boris wave quite a lot, and there's a lot of people that came into Britain. A lot of them on very silly visas. We have to admit. We look at some of the nursing visas, the health and social care visas. A lot of those were, even by the Tories' own admission, a bit bogus. It's a bit silly. People who weren't contributing. Do you think there's a charge here that that is fair from what Adam's saying, which is actually deportations shouldn't be seen as some sort of fascist thing that we do? It's just actually a sensible party policy. Tony Blair was deporting far more people than any Tory government did, by the way.
I think there's two issues here. I think absolutely we should have controlled immigration, and that was the whole point of the points-based system, and we need to get back to using it. And you're absolutely right. Too many people did come in during COVID, but there is some mitigation, there is some explanation for that, because at the time Boris and Priti Patel and whoever else was around his cabinet table, they were petrified that we might run out of people in the care homes to look after people, and that's why they allowed people to come and to bring their relatives. That was the big problem. At the same time, we had students here who weren't going home, so that boosted numbers. At the same time, we had homes for Ukraine, and we also gave refuge to people from Hong Kong. So yes, we had that massive bulge. Now it has decreased, but of course we should be controlling immigration. That is a different thing from deporting people who have been in this country for many years and who have made a contribution. That's where I part company from Adam, because if they have made a contribution, and if they are capable of continuing to make a contribution, then I don't think they should be deported.
Let's go back to this fascist statement. I find it really difficult when I hear politicians say stuff like this or infer it in some way, because I think it actually degrades the level of politics we should be having in Britain. We're a civilised nation. We don't need to be insulting each other to score political points. Do you think this is part of a tactic to smear the party, or do you think that this is a fair criticism?
I think this is incredibly lazy, poor politics from Lisa Nandy. She is the first one, and on this point, I'm going to support Adam. She's the first one to accuse Nigel Farage and Reform of stoking up division, and yet by her using loose language like this, that is exactly the sort of thing that stokes up division. So she's the Culture Secretary, and she's stoking up culture wars.
Well, look, Lisa Nandy was not being lazy. She was being devious. She was projecting to manipulate public opinion of the Reform Party. Let's remember, Labour are cancelling elections. Labour were forcing digital ID on people. Labour are forcing facial recognition cameras throughout the UK, OK? They're cancelling jury trials. They're threatening to close social media platforms. They're locking people up for speech crimes or online crimes. That, for me, is the definition of fascism. So they are saying that we are what they are. And that is a manipulative tool to try and scare people from voting reform.
Do you think
No, I don't. I think they're an authoritarian government that needs reining in.
But you've just listed a load of things that allegedly they've done and said that that's the definition of fascism.
Well, for me, it's nearer to fascism than anything. It's nearer to fascism than anything that Reform are saying that they're going to do.
That doesn't quite add up then.
Why not?
Well, because you said these are certain things that Labour have done that are fascist, but
well,
Labour are not fascist.
They're labelling...
Are they or aren't they?
They're labelling Reform as fascist when they are nearer to fascism than Reform on their current policies.
Well, I think this is the thing, isn't it? And this is why I asked the question, because actually when you start talking about what fascism is, when I ask a lot of people, they can't even define it. And by using these silly words, far-right, fascist, we actually take the power away to actually point fingers at people who might be those things. And that is very dangerous for a society, and you smear possibly millions of people with the word fascism. It creates a very, very dangerous environment.
But also we're distracting from the central question, which is that we have a government in power which is destroying our economy. And that is the biggest problem.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Listen, what do you think at home? GBNews.com/yours. Say, someone put me a definition of fascism in the chat, please.